You find a new coding agent that writes boilerplate in seconds. You download it, get ready to fly through your sprint, and instantly hit a wall, flagged and blocked by your IT department's network filters. Meanwhile, your manager is sending you articles about how developers are suddenly moving 10 times faster. You're expected to deliver at that new benchmark, but you are stuck typing out standard CRUD operations manually. This is the core conflict in corporate software engineering today. Developers want the capability to write code quickly. Security teams require certainty that proprietary code isn't being leaked to public servers. To understand why this happens, look at this chart mapping the current landscape of AI coding tools. We are measuring pure agentic capability on the vertical axis against enterprise compliance and security on the horizontal. The consumer tools getting all the hype, like Cursor or Windsurf, sit way up here in the top left. They are capable, but they lack the heavy-duty data protections required by corporate compliance. That is exactly why your network admin blocked them. The goal is not to figure out a workaround to bypass your security team. The goal is to find the tools sitting in the top right quadrant, capable AI agents that come with zero data retention policies and enterprise-level licensing. If you work in banking, in healthcare systems, or government sectors, the rules are rigid for a reason. A single leaked API key or exposed patient data flow costs millions in fines. In these environments, cryptographic trust and data privacy are mandatory prerequisites. They override raw processing speed every single time. If a tool isn't secure, its capability doesn't matter. Fortunately, there are 4 specific enterprise-grade AI tools built specifically to pass strict InfoSec audits. You evaluate these enterprise tools differently than consumer ones. You look at 3 things: how well they integrate into your current ecosystem, how much friction they cause your procurement team, and whether they can process data locally without broadcasting it to the open internet. Selecting an AI tool based purely on benchmark intelligence is useless if your company's lawyers won't let you install it. You have to match the tool to the compliance framework you already operate in. Let's fill out an evaluation matrix to systematically compare these 4 approved tools, starting with Anthropic's enterprise offering. First is Claude Code. Unlike a standard autocomplete extension, this is a terminal-based agentic tool that operates directly in your command line. Its primary advantage is deep traversal. You can drop it into a decade-old, entirely undocumented legacy codebase, and it will read the file structures to surface systemic risks before you even start typing. From a compliance standpoint, Anthropic offers a zero data retention policy via their enterprise API. Your proprietary code is processed, immediately discarded, and explicitly locked out of their future model training. The trade-off here is interface friction. Because it lives in the terminal, developers have to adapt to a command line-driven workflow rather than relying on deep integrations inside their IDE. Running your AI independently through the Anthropic API gives you the highest level of privacy control, but you have to be willing to work outside your code editor to get it. If your goal is to bypass the procurement headache entirely, you need a tool that piggybacks on a vendor contract your company already signed. Bringing our matrix back, we add the most common enterprise IDE integration, GitHub Copilot from Microsoft. Most developers use Copilot for simple autocomplete, but its real utility lies in the @workspace command. This forces the model to process data strictly within the bounds of your local repository. The compliance advantage is seamless. Your proprietary data never leaves the established enterprise GitHub environment, which your security team has already audited and approved.
However, it is an assistant, not a fully autonomous agent. It excels at writing the next 20 lines of a function you started, but it won't autonomously refactor your entire authentication layer while you get coffee. For organizations already anchored to Microsoft contracts, Copilot is the fastest compliance win. You get adoption speed, even if you trade away some agentic depth. Then there are organizations managing sprawling, multi-service architectures hosted entirely on Google infrastructure. We update our matrix with Google's enterprise tool, Gemini Code Assist, via Google AI Studio. Gemini brings a very specific capability to the table, a 1 million token context window. It can ingest multiple microservices, logs, and configuration files simultaneously. Practically, this means you can feed it an 800-line, undocumented SQL stored procedure and ask it to explain the logic and map out a refactoring plan in a single prompt. The caveat is the ecosystem lock-in.
To maximize the security benefits and the contextual awareness, your team needs to be deeply embedded in the Google Cloud Platform. If you are already operating inside Google's walls, Gemini solves the complex problem of macro-level code-based comprehension without requiring new vendor negotiations. Finally, we need to address the confusion surrounding OpenAI. The consumer version of ChatGPT is banned in half of the Fortune 500. The approved corporate infrastructure is a completely different product. Completing our matrix, we have the independent API option, OpenAI Codex and ChatGPT Enterprise. The Enterprise tier provides single sign-on, detailed admin controls, and an explicit, legally binding guarantee that your user data is never used to train their models. This makes it ideal for rapidly generating regulated content. You can feed it HIPAA-compliant data flows and have it spit out 40 comprehensive unit tests in minutes, fully logged and fully secure.
The trade-off is administrative. Unlike flipping a switch on an existing GitHub or Google account, adopting this usually requires navigating a standalone enterprise contract negotiation from scratch. If your company is already using the OpenAI API for other product features, upgrading that same contract to the enterprise tier gives your developers a secure engine for heavy generative tasks. You don't pick one of these tools just by reading their spec sheets. You make the selection based on the corporate reality you are currently standing in. When proposing an AI tool, start with your existing infrastructure. Microsoft heavy, go to GitHub Copilot for frictionless approval. Embedded in Google Cloud, choose Gemini Code Assist. Running custom infrastructure or requiring zero retention, branch to Claude Code or OpenAI Enterprise. The most effective AI tool isn't the one with the highest benchmarks. It's the one dictated by the ecosystem your IT department has already legally cleared. When you stop fighting compliance and start chaining these approved tools together, you start operating at a speed that most corporate environments haven't seen yet. Here is how a senior developer actually strings them together in a single morning. You pick up a ticket for a legacy payment service. You open Claude Code in the terminal to read the entire directory. It autonomously surfaces 3 unpatched security risks hidden in the routing logic. Next, you jump into your IDE. Using GitHub Copilot's workspace context, you draft the localized patch line by line. Copilot explains the logic and instantly drafts the pull request description for you. Finally, you hit the ChatGPT Enterprise API. You feed it the patched logic and have it autonomously generate a full suite of compliant unit tests to cover the new edge cases. That entire process took an hour, triggered 0 network alarms, and kept proprietary data completely secure. You finished a day's work before lunch and did it without a single compliance flag.